The Frenkie de Jong Manchester United saga has become a regular part of the transfer market drama every year since 2022. Ever since Erik ten Hag showed up at the Theatre of Dreams, his old Ajax defence midfielder has been linked with a reunion. However, the result has always been the same: insistent links with nothing materialising in the end. This has led us to wonder, how would have things worked out for the club and the player had the transfer gone through? Come along, let's explore this hypothetical together. The drama surrounding De Jong trading Barcelona colours for United reached its peak in 23, when sources like Fabrizio Romano reported that the Red Devils had an agreement in principle over a potential transfer. However, the player did not go through with the plan, even though it felt like he was being forced out of Camp Nou. The Dutchman is easily one of the highest paid players at Barcelona, and given the Catalan giant's financial woes in recent years, getting De Jong off the wage bill would have been a huge relief. But the player was adamant he wasn't leaving, stating that he wanted to keep playing at Camp Nou, much to the annoyance of Barcelona and United fans alike. The former believed he was selfish for not wanting to give the club a break. The latter felt catfished. As you'd expect, fans gave De Jong grief for a while, both on the pitch and via social media, and it felt like United had finally learned their lesson from pinning all their hopes on one player throughout the transfer window. So, cue everyone's surprise when the next transfer window came around, and De Jong was still being linked to United, with the English side corroborating the news. This begs the question, is De Jong the kind of player for a club of United's stature to pine over, or is this just a club that doesn't know how to let go? Let's find out. The year is 2022. After months of waiting and submitting bids upon bids, Fabrizio Romano drops the bombshell. A few hours until the transfer market shuts down, United and Frenkie de Jong have reached an agreement. Medicals booked for next weekend. Player to fly out of Barcelona tonight to sign contract as a new United player. Frenkie de Jong to Manchester United. Done deal, and here we go. For a minute, the world screeches to a halt. Then all together, Twitter erupts in a frenzy, with United fans declaring their ability to win the league, UCL, World Cup, Formula One, Hockey World Championship, American football, and every other trophy in sight. Like something out of Avengers Infinity War, one face vanishes from the current Old Trafford lineup, Casemiro replaced by El Clasico rival Frenkie de Jong. Somewhere else in the timeline, Amrabat to United never happens either, nor does the signing of Manuel Ugarte. In this world, where everything has seemingly gone right for the Red Devils and Erik ten Hag, how successful would the club be 2 years later? Although Casemiro fit right into the United lineup and plugged the leaky hole in the club's defensive midfield, which the likes of Fred and McTominay have struggled to fill for years, since the departure of Michael Carrick, the Brazilian destroyer has yet to recapture his maiden red-hot form in 23 and 24. In fact, but for the meteoric rise of Kobbie Manu, United still had the McFred problem on their hands, as there was just no combination of players that fixed their defensive midfield woes completely. Everything feels like a stopgap solution. With De Jong entering the fray, United has a solid defensive midfielder who's capable of anchoring defence and midfield, allowing Manu the chance to develop properly while playing freely in box-to-box capacity when called upon. Given the Dutchman's high work rate, players like Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, both workaholics juggling offensive and defensive duties, are now free to run ragged in the opposition half, since De Jong has the pace, physicality and tact to close down counter-attacks. Offensively, De Jong is also sound and is capable of kick-starting counter-attacks with long-range balls into the wings, which United's pacey wingers like Rashford, Garnacho and Ahmad excel in tracking and creating chances with. Also, with a physical striker like Holjon, who is capable of playing with his back to goal and holds up well under pressure, United gets even more avenues of attack, with De Jong's insane ball progression via through balls. These abilities aren't hypothetical either. In the 23-24 season, De Jong ranked in the 92nd percentile for progressive passes and progressive carries, averaging 7.94 passes and 2.7 per 90, with a 91.8% pass completion rate. These stats dwarf Casemiro's output at the same time, although there's a case to be made for the Dutchman being mostly deployed as a central midfielder. rather than a defensive midfielder. Given the fact that United has joined the growing list of clubs trying to recreate entire clubs or countries within their squad, De Jong will slip right in next to familiar faces like Lisandro Martinez, Anthony, Erik ten Hag, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Matthijs de Ligt, Joshua Zirkzee, Noussair Mazraoui, and Andre Onana, making for a mini Ajax Netherlands reunion at Old Trafford. All the players mentioned so far were part of exciting teams built and coached by Erik ten Hag at some point. So this reunion might just be the start of a revival at the Theatre of Dreams, with De Ligt and the Butcher pulling strings in defence, Mazraoui and Antony linking up on the wings, and Zirkzee and Huljan up front. De Jong might yet be the final piece of the puzzle required to get this hybrid Ajax Netherlands machine firing on all cylinders, with his clinical passing and strong midfield presence. Not to mention that the Dutchman is quite a versatile player, capable of playing on the wing, in the final third, deeper in defence, and in the middle of the park. You heard that right. Bet you didn't know Frenkie de Jong has played as a centre-forward at some point in his career. If the recent outpouring of multiverse movies has taught us anything, it's the theory of cause and effect, that every disturbance in the timeline results in repercussions. But what might these repercussions be? United struggled with defensive problems in the previous season, which saw the club drag in forgotten talent Jonny Evans on a short-term deal, even though the former Leicester man was on the verge of hanging up his boots. With first-choice options, Lisandro Martinez out with a recurring injury and Raphael Varane seeming made of glass, United was forced to rely on Luke Shaw as a makeshift centre-back, before disgraced skipper Harry Maguire regained form and confidence enough to join the lineup. With De Jong in the squad, Evans is another name that would have been erased from the annals of current United history. Instead, the Dutchman would be deployed as a centre-back, and United would just have to cope with Maino and Casemiro in midfield. This system would have come in clutch during the 23 FA Cup final against City, where United lost due to a series of defensive errors at the back. This was a game against a high-flying City side, who went on to win the treble. Yet United could only manage to field Varane and Lindelof, who's got little to no time at Old Trafford since Ten Hag rocked up to town. Quote me anywhere, but a partnership between Varane and De Jong would have provided better coverage for De Gea. That much is obvious when you consider that United won the same fixture a year later, with Martinez partnering Varane, with Lindelof coming on as a sub. Outside of United, Barcelona will also feel De Jong's absence, at least on their wage bill. Not that that will be enough to keep the club from breaching La Liga rules or any less in debt. The Catalan giant may not necessarily feel the Dutchman's absence on the pitch, given how quickly La Masia is churning out absolute ballers in the midfield. The likes of Gavi, Pedri, Fermin, Lopez, Marc Bernal and Marc Cassandro have more than enough talent between them to hold down the centre of the park. In fact, De Jong was absent from Barcelona's spanking of Real Valladolid 7-0 as recently as August, with the young Casado operating as the only central midfielder in Hansi Flick's lineup. The Dutchman's absence might not mean much at Camp Nou should he pack up his things and move on, but at United, he'd have been a different beast entirely, a game changer if you will. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any videos from this channel.